think. Judge, do you mind going first?
No, I don't mind.
Okay, so I'm going to let Judge Erika Quartermaine go first. Besides being a personal friend of myself and a person that I actually supported to attain this level of being a judge, she is a humanitarian in the absolute purest sense of the word. And as Peter said, if you've ever seen her in a courtroom, that would be a testament to that. Erika, on her own accord, put together this comprehensive treatment court initiative, came to the various foundations and asked for community buy-in and funding to the tune of many hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, Judge Quartermaine, it would be wonderful if you would give us your perspective.
All right, well, thank you, and good evening. Thank you for having me here, Dr. Fanning, and to the group. So I am a county judge, and I'm in my 5th year of serving as a county judge. I was appointed by the governor. And in my role as a county judge, I have the jurisdiction to hear misdemeanor cases and civil cases where the amount of controversy is $15,000 or less. So that's consumer debt, evictions, and some PIP insurance. Kind of a garden variety of interesting issues that I'm here. But having served as a prosecutor for several years prior to that, I prosecuted misdemeanor cases. And misdemeanor cases are an interesting group. They are primarily good people who make bad decisions. You get DUIs, you get a lot of low-level substance abuse like marijuana, pipes, you have reckless driving, driving on a suspended, and you get all walks of life in misdemeanor court. You also have domestic battery, prostitution, and then the homeless type crimes. So it is what I call the front line of humanity, because it could be anybody, and everybody knows somebody who's been in one of those positions. So, one of the things that happened when I started was that I was hearing cases involving the same individuals that I had prosecuted and these homeless type crimes. So years had passed and they had just gotten worse and worse and worse. So Jeff Bell at the jail came to court one day. He was the warden. He was a new warden at the jail, but he's since retired. And he said, "Did you know this person is incompetent and has been in jail for 3 or 4 weeks and has been deemed incompetent probably 30 times before, and you know, she's just going to be let out again. Why are you engaging in this madness," basically? And you know, my first thought was, well, that's the way it works. That's what we do. They get arrested. We have them deemed incompetent or competent. And there was a way that we did things. And it was the whole system. It was, and it went on for a long time. And I think it was because these homeless type crimes were not as voluminous as they are now. And when I grew up, I remember one homeless guy, because I'm born and raised here. I'm not a 5th generation Sarasotan, but I'm a 4th generation Floridian and a 2nd generation Sarasotan. So I remember one homeless guy who used to count the cars. I mean, it was, so then, you know, for a variety of reasons, including the closure of the mental health institutions, the issue became enormous. And we just did things the way we always did them. And you know, we didn't really stop in misdemeanor cases to give individual attention, and this was something that happened well before I even became a lawyer. So we just didn't stop and take a look. But at that moment, I agreed with Jeff Bell. I was on the bench for about 3 or 4 months, and I said, yeah, this is crazy. This is the definition of insanity. We're going to let this person out, and they're going to come right back, and we're going to do this all over again. So it took a couple years, and I met with some of the folks here, Wayne and John, and I mean, I think Kevin was there, but you know, it took a collaboration to decide what are we going to do. It doesn't make sense from a financial perspective or you know, to treat someone with any dignity to do what we were doing. So we created a program and we raised $2.4 million over 3 years, and that was the Comprehensive Treatment Court Program. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but what that program did in the process of formulating it and collaborating with those organizations and people who were so close to this issue was really start a conversation about what we were doing and what was going to work, because it was right then when there was a lot of controversy about shelters and whose problem it was and how they were going to pay for it, and well, why don't we throw them all in jail? Well, no, why don't we let them all go? I mean, it was it was very interesting. So we had some very productive conversations, and I think what John said earlier was right. A lot of people close to the issue were on the same page. So we started working and we formulated this court, and in dealing with some of these criminal cases, we found other ways, not just within the comprehensive treatment court, but using conditional release, which was a tool within the criminal system that had been abandoned, I don't know, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that we just didn't use it. And so we've started using that for incompetent misdemeanor defendants, and Postal has been providing the services for those individuals in addition to Centerstone. We've connected them. Every person who's come to jail in the last year plus is screened for mental health issues using evidence-based tools. So those evidence-based tools indicate whether that individual should receive follow-up treatment, understanding that the booking process in a county jail is quick. We cannot send a psychiatrist in there to do a full diagnosis. But what we can do is flag individuals who need assistance. So we've screened, using that flagging mechanism, about 500 people in the last year met the criteria, meaning they were charged with a misdemeanor and had some indication of the need for mental health treatment. And every single one of those persons, you know, unless they refuse to speak, and that can be a challenge if they're incompetent or they simply do not trust anyone, has been offered services, whether through a comprehensive treatment court program or otherwise. So oftentimes just connecting them with services, they're capable of doing it on their own. So while our program in its first year, and we had anticipated 75 to 100 participants, we had 85. And you know, we've had those people go through the program. 22 have been unsuccessful. 29 have been successful and graduated. The remaining people are still active in the program. So, you know, but other than those 85 people, the other individuals have been treated with humanity, given the opportunity, and some of them simply are not ready. If they are not competent to make that decision, that's when we have to look even closer and determine what the tools are. But I have seen a huge shift in how we deal with these individuals who are coming to court, and these are the individuals that you all see. I see them too. They're frequent flyers in my courtroom. And, you know, they'll say, "I'm sorry, Judge, I'm back," you know, and I'll say, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" You know, sometimes it takes 3 or 4, 10, 15 times to offer treatment before someone who is competent can take it. I also oversee a program called TILA with defendants who are engaged in prostitution and related crimes. There was one woman who is a total success story. She paints nails at this pure nail salon in town. You would never know it. She had to be Baker acted Marchman acted for substance abuse 26 times before she took advantage of the treatment. And some people have organic brain damage. It may not happen for them. But my goal is that we're going to catch people as young as we can to prevent that circumstance from happening when there is no way back. And I have hope for everyone, but it's very hard once they have wet brain and we have a population within that population who are experiencing that. But overall, the feedback has been positive. The recidivism is significantly lower for those who have graduated the program. It's around 20%. Those who unsuccessfully participated, they're at about 75%, which is pretty significant. The average recidivism in the United States is about 55%. So you can tell the program is doing some good and positive things, but it's still early in terms of a recidivism standpoint. But we're 1 year in, like I said, and we continue to have some amazing success stories. And I hate to reduce it to numbers, although that's what seems to garner fundraising attention. It's really about the individuals. And even the individuals who ultimately failed, they may have been sober for the first time for 30 straight days since the last time they can remember. So is that a failure? If they had one less arrest than they normally would have had, is that a failure? Is it a failure of us to offer treatment when we otherwise wouldn't have, even if they don't take advantage of it? And it's those things that, you know, it's a success in my mind, and I feel that it's been a value, it's been a cost savings, somewhat more of a cost shifting, but I do see some savings. And I see some people who are very thankful for the opportunities they've been given.
Great.
Thank you, Judge. So she's pretty awesome, huh? And I don't want the line to be, you know, just kind of a throwaway line, but you said we have hope for everyone. Did you hear that? And that's kind of what drives this group. And when you say that you have hope for everyone, that means that you have hope for people that have no hope for themselves. And that's tough. That's really, really tough. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of times at bat before you ever get on base with that individual. But that's the focus. That's what we're committed